Hi, I'm Melissa Wentland, and the topic I'm going to discuss with you today is the usage of drones for delivery and surveillance purposes. I chose this topic because we have a few drones for personal use, and while they're fun for entertainment, I've always been skeptical about the use of them for business and wanted to learn more. Here's a quick overview of the areas that I will cover. I want to start out with an overview of what drones are and their major components. Then I want to dive into why companies might want to use drones for delivery, and we'll look in depth at two different companies that have heavily invested in them. Then we'll look at various surveillance uses for drones in business, and I will wrap up with current challenges and discussion questions. At a high level, a drone is any unmanned aerial vehicle, typically robotic. This covers anything from a small personal use toy to large military strike drones. For our purposes, we are going to be focusing mainly on multi-rotor drones, which most people generically refer to as quadcopters. Drones typically have fairly standard major components. The frame is the rigid structure that everything is attached to. Carbon fiber is the most popular material for frames because it's strong and light, but these can be made from other materials such as aluminum, nylon, and even plastic. The motors are attached to the frame and operate at variable speed to power the propellers. At least one propeller is attached to each arm of the drone. It is common for commercial drones to have two propellers per arm for redundancy. This is important because if you lose a propeller and don't have another operational one on that arm, the drone will crash in every single case. Multi-rotors are named for the number of propellers that they have, not for the number of arms. Many commercial drones have 3 or 4 arms, but have 2 propellers on each arm, so they are called hexacopters and octocopters respectively. The battery powers the motors and the other electrical components on the drone. The radio receiver gets commands from either a handheld controller or an automated signal. The next 4 components operate together to allow the drone to intelligently move. The barometer uses pressure to determine the altitude. This tells the drone how high up it is. The accelerometer acts as the level to determine pitch, yaw, and yoke, which are the X, Y, and Z axis. This tells the drone what direction it's facing and its overall orientation. The GPS tells the drone where it's located geographically, which provides context to the orientation provided by the accelerometer. Information from these components is fed to the flight controller, which is the computer that operates the drone. It processes the information to determine how the rotors need to operate to keep the drone level, how fast each individual propeller needs to spin in order to move the drone right, left, up, or down. It also takes into account the impact from wind or the loss of any of the propellers to try to keep the drone where it's supposed to be. Most drones have cameras attached as well, which can be fed back to a computer or to a handheld device. Now that you know what a drone is, why would a business want to use drones for delivery? From a generic standpoint, increasing automation allows businesses to explore new capabilities such as allowing customers to track their physical packages in real time. It also could provide operational efficiency gains and reduced errors. This alone does not seem to be enough of a reason to pursue drone delivery, but can be a supporting factor for a company that's on the edge. In the US, the main driver for pursuing drones tends to be speeding up delivery. This is commonly called the last mile problem. For many large e-commerce companies, they have optimized their shipping and logistics networks as far as they currently can and have drastically sped up delivery timeframes. However, when products reach their local hubs, they are still relying on delivery carriers such as FedEx, UPS, or USPS to deliver products to the customer's home. This alone adds a day or more to the overall delivery timeframe. Some companies like Amazon are already solving for this by employing or subcontracting drivers to pick up items from their local hubs and deliver them directly to customers. Drone delivery is another way to solve for this problem, whether they use drones for all local deliveries or supplement drivers. Another reason to use drones is to deliver to remote locations. This is more common outside of the US and has been done on a small scale in South America for moving products up mountains and across rivers, for example, where there is no convenient way to access the customer. These efforts have been very localized so far as a response to specific geographic challenges. This idea was initially pursued as a way to get medical supplies to areas that are hard to travel to, especially during medical emergencies or natural disasters. Drone delivery is typically not a cost play for reducing transportation costs. The typical way to assess transportation savings relies on calculating route density and drop size, which drones don't maximize very well. Since most drones are used for single location delivery with small packages, it is unlikely that drones will be more efficient for aggregate transportation costs without outside considerations factored in. In summary, there are good reasons to pursue drone delivery if it fits your business model and serves a specific purpose, but it shouldn't be pursued by everyone. Some major companies looking at drone delivery are Walmart, Google, and Amazon, who we're going to look at next. Amazon's CEO announced in 2013 that they were targeting drone delivery as a strategic initiative. The goal is to deliver packages to customers in 30 minutes or less, which currently can't be done using traditional delivery methods. There are several business drivers for why Amazon wants to do this. Amazon wants to increase customer loyalty through instant gratification and convenience and increase their overall Prime membership base, which has been very lucrative for them. Customers in this space do most of their shopping through Amazon and rarely price compare with other retailers. Additionally, this puts pressure on competitors by raising the bar on convenience. In the same way that Amazon Prime's 2-day delivery guarantee pressured other retailers to speed up shipping timeframes or lose customers, this puts added pressure on them and increases the cost to do business in this space. This is especially problematic for companies that don't have as deep of pockets or as many revenue streams as Amazon does. As I mentioned, this was announced in 2013. The FAA currently bars drones from being used for commercial delivery in the US, but Amazon is working with them to try to get legislation passed that would allow them to operate. Amazon is currently conducting trials in the United Kingdom and will be iteratively making changes to their program as they learn more through that process. Now that you understand why Amazon is pursuing drone delivery, here is what their program is set to look like. Amazon is currently scoping drone delivery only for Prime members that live within 10 miles of a warehouse and have packages that weigh 5 pounds or less. Amazon estimates that 85% of orders meet the weight limit. The drones fly below 400 feet and are automated with Sense and Avoid technology, which is proprietary to Amazon. This means that they will not have a human piloting them, but will have safety measures in place so that they don't hit things. The overall process is that once a customer places an order, they determine if it's eligible for drone delivery using the shipping address and product weight. If it is, the product is processed for fulfillment. It is sent via conveyor to the drone, which clamps onto it and takes off after it's been programmed with the address to the GPS. Using the GPS and the Sense and Avoid technology, it drops the package off at the address and returns to the warehouse. Amazon has a number of videos posted to their site showing the whole process, and I found it very interesting looking at those and how they automated many of the steps in between to make this as efficient as possible. The videos are really interesting, and I'd recommend you take a look at them. So now that we've looked at a retailer using drone delivery to speed up delivery times, let's look at a different use case. JD.com is unofficially known as Chinese Amazon, and they're the second largest e-commerce company in China after Alibaba. China has not blocked drones for commercial use, and as such, JD.com is already operating a successful urban delivery model similar to Prime Air. However, China is an interesting market to look at because 50% of the population lives in very rural areas that do not have adequate infrastructure to make traditional delivery feasible. Most of these areas currently rely on motorcycle delivery when they order products, which is obviously not very convenient or cost effective. Due to this, JD.com is partnering with the Chinese government to develop large military-grade drones to expand growth into rural China. They will use these drones to drop off shipments to rural area hubs where they can be delivered by car to the customers. Additionally, they are hoping to transport goods produced by these areas, such as crops, back to their urban warehouse, which will allow them to have a monopoly on the sale of these items. Their goal is to be able to transfer over a ton of weight and cargo to these difficult to reach locations in order to better serve these communities and open up new markets for growth, which is very different from Amazon's drone model. Now that we've talked about drone delivery, I would like to provide an overview of drone uses in surveillance, which is very diversified. This is not an exhaustive list, but covers some of the most common and innovative uses. The military is by far the biggest user of drones. This ranges from use in intelligence gathering to large offensive strike drones, which have been so controversial. Drone usage is starting to move into law enforcement as well. Somali police are now using drones to help respond to terror attacks and to gather intelligence. Additionally, various police departments in the U.S. are using them for everything from crisis response to traffic monitoring. One of the largest applications of drones outside of the military is for utility infrastructure and safety inspections. These were traditionally done by inspectors harnessing themselves to buildings, wind turbines, and oil rigs to perform inspections. Now they perform drone-based aerial inspections, which provide huge safety cost savings and allow the operator to record and transmit video to safety inspectors on the ground. One of the more interesting uses of drones is in farming, where they are leveraged to look for the signs of disease and environmental damage in crop fields. This is especially important for farming of produce that grows too large for farmers to walk amongst their crops, and they has to be seen from above. They can also be used to locate free-roaming herds and actually herd the livestock more effectively than traditional methods. Drones are also used in archaeology research to identify ancient hidden structures from above, to prevent looting of protected sites, and to map areas. I've listed several companies below that provide safety inspection and crop surveillance services if you would like to check them out. Despite the varied usage for drones, commercial use faces a number of challenges, especially in the U.S. Current FAA regulations prohibit their use in delivery and in large-scale commercial deployments. There are many safety concerns, with the main ones being the threat they pose to aircraft and the potential for human injuries due to collision or contact with the propellers. Many companies are working with the FAA and Congress to ensure proper controls and regulations are put in place so that they can be used safely. Additionally, for companies looking to adopt drone technology, full automation requires a large investment in research and development and is highly proprietary. For those not wanting to invest, non-automated steering requires humans and the operator has line of sight to the drone either physically or through a camera feed from the drone, which can limit how they are used. There are also privacy concerns as well regarding the handling and usage of video and GPS data captured and transmitted by drones. Given the amount of information that will be captured, what do companies intend to do with it, and how will they protect this data? Lastly, since drones cannot easily be tracked or detected, there are significant concerns about how they can be leveraged for illegal purposes such as smuggling, drug trafficking, and in terror attacks. My hope is that these problems can be solved for and that sufficient controls are put in place to allow drones to be used more widely for business. Below are several questions for discussion, which I have also included in my post. I look forward to hearing what you think about drones and how you see this space evolving in the future. For reference, here are the sources I leveraged during my research. Thank you for taking the time to listen in, and I hope you learn more about drones.